Sai Ram everyone, welcome back to our history class. Let us continue with our lesson, Socialism in Europe and the Russian Revolution. Let's have a quick recap of what we have learned in the last class. Okay, the liberals, social democrats, socialist revolutionary along with workers demanded a constitution. Workers were dismissed at Putilov Ironwork, and that's the reason many workers they went on strike in the St. Petersburg. Father Gapon led the demonstrators to the Winter Palace, and many were killed, right? This incident of Bloody Sunday brought many workers on street. Third Duma was created with conservative politicians. First Duma was dissolved within 75 days. Remember, I told you this. Second Duma was elected within 3 months. Even that was dissolved. And the third Duma was created with conservative politicians. During the First World War, Europe was divided into Central and Allied powers. Tsar became unpopular among the people of Russia. Wars also affected industries in Russia. Then we studied about the February Revolution that took place in Petrograd. We saw even the soldiers, they supported these demonstrators. Tsar was abdicated, and the new government that came into power was the provisional government. Okay, we studied till here. Now let's continue with this lesson. And the new topic that we are going to cover today is the Revolution of October 1917. So, the topic right now we are going to take up is the Russian Revolution of 1917. We all studied that after the fall of Tsar, the provisional government came into power, right? But this provisional government had influence of industrialist, landowner and military officers. There was conflict between this provisional government and Bolsheviks. Lenin was scared. He felt that this government would set up a dictatorship. So what did he do? In the month of September, he started planning and working for uprising against this government. He brought together all his supporters who believed in him, and they were from army, from Soviets and from factories. Now on October 16th of October 1917, Petrograd Soviet and Bolsheviks were persuaded by Lenin, to agree to a socialist seizure of power, that is to take over power. A military revolutionary committee was appointed, and this committee was appointed under Leon Trotsky. Can you see on your screen Leon Trotsky? Yes, he's Leon Trotsky. But listen, when this revolution, Lenin planned many things. Okay, even he brought his supporters together. But when this uprising was going to take place, was kept secret. Date of the uprising was kept secret. But at last, on 24th October, uprising took place. Government sensed trouble. Prime Minister Kerensky, he was the Prime Minister of Provisional Government at that time in Russia, had left the city to summon the troops. Military, they came into action. Military men who were loyal to the government, they seized the buildings of 2 Bolshevik newspapers. This military were also sent to take over telephone and telegraph offices, and also to protect the Winter Palace. Now, the military revolutionary responded to this action of the government as they ordered their supporters to seize or to overtake government offices and also arrest ministers. The ship named Aurora, can you see on your screen? Shelled means bombarded, attacked the Winter Palace. Okay, the ship, can you see on your screen? Yeah, the ship bombarded, attacked the Winter Palace. They took over various military offices. By night, whole city was under the committee, and all the ministers of government were surrendered. They surrendered themselves. Meeting of all Russian Congress of Soviets was held in Petrograd. And in this meeting, majority of people, they agreed with Bolsheviks. They supported the Bolsheviks. In other cities too, uprising took place. In many places, fighting took place. Heavy fighting took place in Moscow, Petrograd. At last, the Bolsheviks, they controlled Moscow, Petrograd area, and this was in the month of December. Now let's see what changes took place after 1970, that is October 1970. We all studied that Bolsheviks were against private property, right? They were against private property. Many industries and banks were nationalized, That was in the month of November 1917. Now, what is the meaning of nationalized? Nationalized means the government took over the ownership and management of these banks and this factories, industries. Okay, now we have already studied about April thesis of Lenin, wherein he has promised the peasants that the land which is owned by the landlords, rich landlords or church, will be transferred to the peasants, right? This we have already studied. Now, biggest change after 1970 was land was declared as social property. Understand? Yes. And peasants were allowed to take away land from nobles, from this rich landlords in the countryside. Now I will tell you what happened in the city. In the city, there were large houses. Rich people, small family lived in this large house. So what did he do? This large house was partitioned according to the family requirement. Also, use of old titles of aristocracy was banned. This also was done after 1917, biggest change. One more change was brought by then. Uniform were designed for the army official. New uniforms were designed for this army officers. The Bolshevik party was renamed, and it was renamed as Russian Communist Party. Bolsheviks, they conducted election. That was in the month of November again, 1917. But these elections were conducted for Constituent Assembly. Okay? But they did not get majority support. They did not get majority votes, Bolsheviks. In 1918, the assembly rejected Bolsheviks' measure. Okay? And Lenin, okay, they rejected Bolsheviks' measure. So what did Lenin do? He dismissed the assembly. Okay? He thought that all Russian Congress of Soviets was more democratic than an assembly elected. In March 1918, okay, now this is very important point. We all should know that. In March 1918, Bolsheviks, they made peace with Germany. We have already studied about anti-sentiments amongst the people of Russia against Germany. This was, can you see here? It was at Brest-Litovsk. Now, this was opposed by their political allies, the political parties which supported the Bolshevik. They didn't like this, they opposed this. Or other supportive parties. No one liked Bolshevik making peace with Germans. Bolshevik became the only party to participate in the elections. And this elections was conducted to the All Russian Congress of Soviets, which was the parliament of the country, which became the parliament of the country. Now, Russia became one-party state. Okay. Now, they kept these trade unions under control so that they should not revolt. Yeah. People who criticized the Bolsheviks were punished by secret police, and this police were called as Cheka. They were also called as NKVD or OGPU. Even many young artists and young writers, okay, they supported the party because it stood for socialism and also for change. But after October 1917, they were disappointed because the censorship of the party, the party encouraged. Let's begin with the topic, the Civil War. Okay, I'll explain it to you what is Civil War. The October Revolution of 1917 in Russia. Okay, that's what we studied now. This revolution led to Bolshevik coming to power. Peasants believed that it meant free land because Bolsheviks, they promised them land, right? So they believed that it meant free land and also end of war. Okay, so that they will live peacefully henceforth. However, things were not that easy. After assuming power, okay, the Bolshevik ordered redistribution of land. As a result of which many peasant soldiers deserted Russian army as they too wanted to go home and acquire the redistributed land. Okay. Now, on the other hand, the non-Bolsheviks, they condemned this October Revolution. Now, who were these non-Bolsheviks? They were social revolutionaries. They were called the Greens. Remember this. The Greens. And pro-Tsarist. Pro-Tsarist means supporters of Tsar. They were called as the Whites. Who were Greens? Greens were social revolutionaries. And who were Whites? Whites were supporters of Tsar. And then who were Red? Red were none other than the Bolsheviks. Okay? The Greens and the Whites, they were non-Bolsheviks. They decided to fight the socialist uprising of the Red, that is the Bolshevik. Okay, they moved to South Russia, south part of Russia, to organize the troops to fight the Reds. And they were supported by the French. Can you see the flags? The French, the Americans and British. American and British flag is there on the screen. Also Japanese and the French troops. They all supported the whites and the greens. Now why did they support? Because this nation did not want socialism to enter Russia. Okay, now these Reds, they were not alone. Even the Reds were supported. They received support from non-Russians, nationals, the nationalists from their empire, and also Muslim jihadists. This fight within the country itself, between these two sides. Which two sides? The Reds on one side and the whites and the green on the other side was nothing then, was civil war. This was the civil war, marked by looting, banditry and the famine. With the rise of Bolshevik powers, these peasants, they forcibly seized the lands from the rich and also attacked their houses. In retaliation to it, the whites took harsh steps. This made whites unpopular with the people. Some landowners and Russian colonists too became Bolsheviks and helped the Bolsheviks. But they unleashed terror on the local people, and this they did in name of defending socialism. People were confused. This led confusion among the people to what this government stand for. What is this government doing? What does this government stand for? The Bolsheviks, they were successful in taking control over most of the Russian Empire by January 1920. And in December 1922, these Bolsheviks, they created Soviet Union or the USSR from the Russian Empire. Okay, now to make up the brutality of the so-called Bolsheviks who had killed the locals, the Bolshevik gave political autonomy to the non-Russians. However, the Bolsheviks combined this popular move with some unpopular policies, which they forced on the nations which joined this USSR to follow them. Therefore, Bolsheviks' attempt to win over different nationality were only partly successful. Various events marked the formation of socialist society in Russia. during the Civil War. Let's find out what it was. Okay? The events to establish socialism in Russia during the Civil War were, the first and foremost one was the Bolshevik nationalized industries and banks. Yes, we have studied this, right? That is, they were brought under the government control. They were allowed, the peasants were allowed, okay, to cultivate land, the redistributed land. Peasants were allowed to cultivate redistributed land. The confiscated land was used for collective work. This land was thus used very effectively by the peasants. Okay, now very important point I want you to make note of. This Bolsheviks, they introduced centralized planning in which officials devised 2 5-year plans. They were for the periods 1927 to 1932 first plan, and the second plan was from 1933 to 1938. So 2 5-year plan was devised. As a part of this plan, this government, they fixed prices of all prices to promote industrial growth, prices of commodities. That was to promote industrial growth. Centralized planning, this led to growth in economy. Okay, increase in industrial production, that too by 100% of oil, then coal and steel, and also development of new factory cities. Few provisions were given to factory workers and peasants. Okay, for development of factory cities. These were creation of extended school, okay, schooling system, arrangement for peasants and factory workers so that they could join the university, then establishment for crutches for crutches for children, then cheap public health care was also provided, then modern living quarters were also provided, were also set up for the people. However, the rapid development of factory cities had certain disadvantages as well. Yeah, these all are all positive things. We saw all good things happening, but there were some disadvantages also. These were poor working conditions, hard lives of the workers. These were the disadvantages. Although well-meaning of this benefit could not be enjoyed by all, as the government had limited resources. Understand? Government had limited resources. We will stop over here right now. We will continue with the same topic in the next class. Till then, you all take care and even study.